Hello friends, I welcome you all to our second session of General Awareness. I hope you like the first session of General Awareness where we spoke about the Indian polity, introduction to Indian polity, where we spoke about the making of the Indian Constitution. That is the body that was involved in the making of the Indian Constitution. That is we spoke about the Constituent Assembly. I request those who have not watched the first session who are attending this session, I request you to watch that and then come back to this session because you will have more clarity if you watch the first session. You will understand how the classes are going on and what is the schedule that we follow and what is the pattern that we are following when it comes to general awareness classes. Okay, so before going forward with our session, we will give some information about our paid course for those people who have joined today. That is, see, we are starting our paid course, that is from 1st June 2024 friends. So the name of the course is One Goal SSC CGL and SSC CHSL 2024. Okay, that is to ensure success in SSC CGL and CHSL 2024. So what are the features of this course? See, we have a well planned 120 days, okay, meticulously planned curriculum. Okay, apart from that we have mock tests and very good study material. Okay, updated and very good study material expertly curated by each one of the faculty. Okay, proofreading is done by each one of the faculty and everything based on the present trends is included, okay, in the study material. Very good study material. Okay, and also we have mock tests like I told. So the mock tests will include what? Full length tests and also friends topic wise tests and also daily and weekly quizzes. Okay, and cherry on the top is that we will ensure that each student will be paid individual attention. That's why we are assigning mentor to each student. That is, each student will be assigned a mentor. So the mentor, what is the work of the mentor? He or she will identify that the student, where the student is lagging, where the student is facing difficulty. Based on that, the feedback will be given by the mentor to the students. For example, suppose you are facing difficulty with the chapter of preamble. Okay, so and you are scoring less in that topic. That time, what the mentor will do is he will ask you to go through the recorded sessions of the preamble again, and through that you will revise the preamble chapter again and you will be asked to give the test again. Based on that, if you give the test, your score will obviously increase and that will give you confidence. Like this we will do for all the topics where you are facing difficulty. So you will be given comprehensive and holistic preparation for the examination, to face the examination with good confidence. Okay, so we will be meticulously covering all the sections of the examination, that is tier 1 and tier 2, and all the sections include, that is quantitative aptitude. We have very good faculties, expert faculties, be it quantitative aptitude, be it reasoning, be it general awareness, myself, and when it comes to even English language, where English language is being taught with examples using vernacular languages to cater to the needs of various aspirants across India. Okay friends, so let's get on with our session. That is, today's our topic is parts and schedules of the Constitution. The last class we studied the body involved in making of the Constitution. The body involved in making of the Constitution was what? That is Constituent Assembly. It was framed through, finally through which mission? That is through Cabinet Mission Plan, as per Cabinet Mission Plan. I am just revising. How many members were there? As per Cabinet Mission Plan, it is 389. Ultimately, how many joined? It is 208 members. Okay, I wanted to keep revising each of the session so that you will be very well updated with the knowledge when it comes to Indian polity. These sessions are also very important, be it paid course or not. You have to listen to these classes before joining the paid courses so that you will have very good foundation, so that you will be having edge over others when it comes to cracking the examination. So today's topic is parts and schedules of the Constitution, friends. So friends, what do you mean by parts? See, parts of the Constitution means the various chapters in the Constitution. See, for example, if I take Constitution as a book, okay, schedules means the index in the books, index page, where you have in any book there will be index page, like in your textbooks, in your, be it your graduation or your PU, whatever textbooks you read, there will be index page. Okay, that index is nothing but the schedules. Parts means chapters of the Indian Constitution. Okay friends, so let's get on with it. Let's see how many parts, how many schedules are there, and what does each part say, and what does each schedule say. Okay friends, so when it comes to parts of the Indian Constitution, I said parts means basically chapters. Okay, when it comes to Indian Constitution, when it was originally framed, that is on when 26th January, this January 1950 is the commencement of the Constitution. Commencement of the Constitution. This is the commencement of the Constitution. Okay friend, this is the date of commencement of the constitution. Okay, on the date of commencement of the constitution, the total number of parts were, that is the original constitution had 22 parts. Okay, so understand one thing friends, see when it comes to enactment or adoption of the constitution, the day is 26 November, what is the day? That is 26 November 1949. But now 26 November is every year celebrated as what? Constitution Day. It is celebrated as Constitution Day. Remember this one. It is celebrated as, like it is celebrated as Republic Day. Okay. When it comes to commencement of the date of commencement of the Constitution is 26 January 1950 friends. Remember this. This was the date on which Constitution commenced. That is, the Constitution came into force. Okay. Now at the present Constitution we have 25 parts. That means from where did these 3 parts come? You may ask. Friends, these 3 parts came from where? These 3 parts came through the amendment of the Constitution. What do you mean by amendment of the Constitution? You should know that amendment means, see, the framers of the Constitution were very well aware that as per the needs and changes in the society, the Constitution has to evolve. So the Constitution has to evolve means they put forward a procedure for changing the Constitution. Changing means not complete change, means certain modifications, certain additions, certain deletions in the Constitution that was to be made in the Constitution based on the needs and wishes of the people of the society. Okay, so they put forward a procedure for amendment of the Constitution. So what do you mean by amendment? Amendment means making changes in the Constitution. Okay, the changes means what? It may include adding something to the Constitution. Okay, it may also include deleting something from the Constitution. Okay, for example, right to property was deleted from fundamental rights and it was added in Article 300A. Earlier it was in Article 31. Okay, making some changes in the Constitution or modifying something in the Constitution. Okay, these are all the meaning of amendment, making changes in the Constitution. So through the amendment only these 3 parts were added, that is part 23, 24 and 25. Okay friends, so 22 parts were in original Constitution. Present Constitution has 25 parts. But we will be talking more about 22 parts and I will also help you with how to remember each of these parts through mnemonics. Okay friends, let's start learning about each parts now. Okay, so part 1. Okay, before going to part 1, you must observe one thing here. I have underlined these things. I have underlined the first letters. Okay, I have underlined each of these first letters. Right, I have underlined each of these first letters. Why I have underlined? You must understand. To help you understand or remember these things using the mnemonics, I have underlined each of the first letter so that you can relate with that. Okay, so part 1, what does it say? Part 1 says there shall be Union of India. That is, it says about Union and its territory. What Union? Union of India. Okay, not Union of America, not Union of France. It is talking about Union of India and its territory. Okay, but it's part 1. Part 1 is talking about Union and its territory. So Indian Union has how many? Indian Union has how many states? It is talking about states and territories. That is, territory means it includes states and what? Union territories. Indian Union has how many states? 28 states at present. It has how many states? 28 states. And also how many union territories? 8. Can you name those union territory friends? What are those union territories? 8. Okay. So till what? What are those union territories? So there is nothing but Delhi. Okay, Delhi, National Capital Territory. It can be what? Chandigarh. Okay. Next it can be Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. It can be Ladakh. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next Ladakh. Then Dadra and Nagar Haveli and also Daman and Diu. It is single union territory. Not earlier it was separate. Now it is single union territory. Delhi, Chandigarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Dadra and Nagar, Daman and Diu, Andaman and Nicobar, okay, Lakshadweep Islands and Puducherry. So total 8. Okay friends, total 8 union territories. See, until 2nd June 2014 we had, from 2nd June 2014 we had 29 states. That is, the state of Telangana was formed. Okay, but on 5th August 2019 what happened was the state of Jammu and Kashmir was changed into Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. So at present we have 28 states and also 8 union territories. Okay friends, next when it comes to citizenship. Okay, when it comes to citizenship, okay, we talk about in part 2. So part 2 deals with what? Part 2 deals with citizenship. Okay friends, part 2 deals with citizenship. And when it comes to part 3, very important, part 3 deals with fundamental duties, fundamental rights. Okay, so part 3 deals with fundamental rights. Part 3 deals with fundamental rights, very important friends. This is also very important. Part 3, this has been asked many times in the examination. That is, what does part 3 deal with? Fundamental rights are included in which part of the constitution? It is included in part 3. Okay friends. Okay, next when it comes to part 4, part 4 talks about DPSPs. What does DPSP means? DPSP means Directive Principles of State Policy. That is giving the directives to the state, what the state has to perform. What is a state and all these things we will explain when we talk about fundamental rights. Article 12 talks about the state and Article 36 also talks about the state. We will learn in detail when we go to fundamental rights and also DPSPs. Okay friends, next part 4. This is DPSP, it is done. Next, actually it is part 4A. Okay, part 4A or part 5. So part 4 is DPSP. Part 5 is what? Part 5 is fundamental duties. Part 5 is fundamental duties. Okay friends, part 5 is talking about what? Part 5 is talking about fundamental duties. Like that, part 6 is talking about union government. What are the fundamental duties? How it came into being? On the original constitution, one thing you must remember friends, I will discuss about it again when we do a fundamental duties, but you have to remember that fundamental duties, they were not there in the original constitution. It was added through 42nd Amendment Act. Okay, what is the 42nd Amendment Act? That came into being in 1976. To that, fundamental duties were added. See, one thing you must remember, an additional information which I am giving is, which of the following amendment is called as a mini constitution? If they ask a question, that is, the answer is 42nd Amendment Act. It is also called mini constitution, because many changes were introduced in the constitution through 42nd Amendment Act. Okay, through that only fundamental duties were added in part 5. Next, moving forward, we learn what is part 7. Part 7. See, part 6 talks about union government. Union government will include who? Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, okay, Attorney General and all these people. When it comes to state government, it will include Chief Minister, okay, it will include whom? Chief Minister, their Council of Ministers, Advocate General. Okay, when it comes to state, it is Advocate General. When it comes to central, it is Attorney General. These are all very simple chapters, we will learn in detail. Okay, that is, we will tell what are the provisions of Advocate General, what are the functions of Attorney General and all these things. Okay, next part 8. Okay, part 8 is talking about union territories. Okay, see part 1, don't get confused. Part 1 is talking about union and its territory, that is Indian Union and its territory, that is whole of India and its territory, is talking about states and union territories. Part 8 is exclusively talking about union territories. Okay, what are the provisions of union territories, how the ruling, how the administration is taking place in union territories. Okay, what are the functions of the central government when it comes to union territories. That is why it is called union territories, because central government has powers over the union territories, not the states. Okay, so part 8 is talking about union territories. Okay friends, next when it comes to part 9, part 9 talks about panchayats. Okay, part 9 talks about panchayats, that is part 9 and part 9 part 9 and part 9 talks about local self government, talks about local self government. Okay, local self government is talking in which part? It is part 9 and part 9A. Okay, at the rural level it is panchayats and at the urban level it is municipalities. Okay friends, at the rural level it is panchayats and at the urban level it is municipalities. Remember friends. Part 9B. Okay, part 9B is also talking about cooperative societies. Cooperative societies means what? Please drop a message in the comment section. What is cooperative societies? You must also remember friends, there is a high chance of this coming in the examination, this question, because new ministry, that is Ministry of Cooperatives, Ministry of Cooperation, not Cooperatives, Ministry of Cooperation was created. Okay, it was held by Home Minister only. It was created in the old cabinet, I mean that is the previous cabinet of central government, Ministry of Cooperatives, Ministry of Cooperatives or Cooperation. Okay, so part 9B is cooperatives. Part 10, scheduled and tribal areas. Okay, part 10 is talking about scheduled and tribal areas. We will talk about the scheduled and tribal areas even in the schedules of the constitution. Okay, schedules and scheduled areas is different. Schedules is, I told it is indexes. Scheduled and tribal areas means where the scheduled caste people or the tribal people live. Okay, that is the meaning of scheduled and tribal areas. We will learn about scheduled and tribal areas. It is also important to know various tribes present in our country, very important tribes, that is present in which state has more number of tribes, which tribe has highest number of population, and also you have to learn about, when it comes to tribes, you have to learn about PVTGs, that is primitively vulnerable tribal groups. How many PVTGs are there? All these things we learn in current affairs also. The PVTGs that are in the news, the tribes that are in the news. So that is how we will link current affairs this to this static portion. Okay friends, next moving forward, let us talk about the tricks to remember parts 1 to 10. This is very important friends. This is how you will remember. Okay, in the examination with lot of knowledge, I mean a lot of things which you learn and go, you may not be able to recollect immediately. If you learn, if you do memorize and go. Okay, so at that time what comes to your help is, it is the mnemonics. It is the mnemonics that comes to your help. Okay friends, so what is the mnemonic that we are using? You can fly directly from US to UP to meet child of Sachin. Okay, you can fly directly from US to UP to meet the child of Sachin. Okay, understand friends. Here I am underlining certain things. You have to focus on the underlined words. U, C in can, F in fly, direct, D in directly, F in from, US, U and S both in US, UP, U and P both, meet you have to focus on M, in child you have to focus on C, and in Sachin you have to focus on S. Okay, so you can fly directly from US to UP to meet the child of Sachin. You remember this sentence. So how you can remember? If you can remember this, you can fly directly from US to UP to meet child of Sachin. You will be able to remember parts of the Constitution. How many parts? Parts 1 to 10. That is parts 1 to 10 friends. That is parts 1 to 10. Excuse me. Okay, fine. So how we can relate this? See, U talks about Union Territory, and can talks about C here, citizenship, and similarly fly, F talks about fundamental rights, and similarly directly D talks about what? DPSPs, and F, what does F talks about? Again, fundamental duties. Okay, and U talks about what? U talks about what? Union government. S talks about state government. Again UP, from UP, U means here it is talking about union territories, and P talks about panchayats. To meet, M talks about municipalities, and C talks about what? What does C talks about? Municipalities. After that, what did we study? That is cooperative societies. Okay friends, and again S, what does S talks about? Okay, S talks about scheduled and tribal areas. Understood friends? It is talking about scheduled and tribal areas. These are, you remember, parts 1 to 10. Understood friends? Okay, let's get forward. That is, we will study from parts 11 to 16 first. Parts 11 to 16. Okay, part 11 talks about relation between union and states. Part 11 talks about the relation between union and states. Relation between union and states. What do you mean by relation between union and states, friends? It can be administrative relations, financial relations, executive relations. Okay, when we study this itself is a separate topic, we will study. After studying union and central government, union and state governments, we will be learning about the relation between them. Okay, there we will study about what? We will study about administrative relations, executive relations, and also which relation? Executive relations, and also financial relation between union and states. Financial relations means how the tax are devolved. Okay, how the tax devolution takes place from the union to the states. That is what we will study when it comes to relation between union and states. Okay, next part 12, finance, property, contracts and suits. When it comes to part 12, it talks about finance, property and contracts and suits. It is basically talking about how the registration of property is done, how the money is handled, how the contracts are done when it comes to various projects, when it comes to various tenders. Suits also means the same. Okay, that is spoken in part 12. Next is trade, commerce, intercourse within the territory of India. What are the rules related to trade, commerce and intercourse? Okay, Next, part 14, services under the union and state. Part 14 talks about services under the union and state. See, all India services like IAS, okay, IPS, okay, Indian Forest Service, okay, IFOS, okay, Indian Forest Service, are all spoken in this services under the union and state. When it comes to state, you can talk about various public service commissions of each of the states, and all these things are spoken under part 14. Okay, part 14A. Why A is here? It was added through an amendment. Tribunals. Okay, tribunals means it is like court, but where justice is delivered very fast. So that, see, already courts are burdened with so many cases. So to ensure that certain cases the justice is delivered very fast, that the judgment is delivered very fast, okay, and due process of law and everything is followed in a very quick manner, to ensure that tribunals are set up. That is set up through Article 14A. Okay, who can set up the tribunal and all these things? We will learn when we go to judiciary chapter. We will learn about Supreme Court, High Court, and also about tribunals. Okay, part 15. Okay, very important. Okay, part 15 is talking about elections. This year you can expect a question from this, because this year we are facing Lok Sabha elections. It has already started. That's why part 15 is very important. They can ask under which part does elections come. They can ask right to vote is a constitutional vote or a fundamental right. Okay, all these things they can ask. Okay, so elections very important, friends. So next, coming to part 16. So part 16 talks about special provisions relating to SCs and STs. Special provisions relating to SCs and STs. That is how the reservations are given for SCs and STs. That is spoken in part 16. Be it employment, be it educational institutions. What are the special provisions to safeguard SCs and FDs, SCs and STs? That is given in part 16. Now we will go to mnemonics. Mnemonics of what? Trick to remember, parts 11 to 16. Read from the start to the end for success. Observe the first letter of each word very carefully. Read from the start to the end for success. Here reads talks about what? Read talks about, R talks about relations between center and states. F talks about what? Finance, property, contracts and suits. Okay. Similarly, T in H talks about what? What does it talks about? What does it talks about? Remember, what does it talks about? Try to recollect. Try to recollect, friends. What does it talks about? Talks about trade, commerce, intercourse within the territory of India. That is part 13. Okay. Next, when it comes to S talks about special provisions. No, S talks about services within the union and states. Okay. And T talks about what? T talks about what? What does T talks about? Let us see. We have to keep revising and use the mnemonics. T talks about tribunals, which I told comes under part 14A. And E talks about elections. Here E talks about elections. And when it comes to S talks about special provisions with respect to SCs and STs. So using the mnemonics, you can remember part 11 to 16. Okay. Part 1 to 10 you can remember using, you can fly directly from US to UP to meet child of Sachin. Part 11 to 16 you can remember using read from the start to end for success. So you can remember part 11 to 16, friends. Okay. Please pay attention on each word which I speak. Okay. Each word or each line which I speak can be a question in the examination. Okay. Whatever I am telling you has been previously asked in the examination, be it SSC, be it railways, okay, be it UPSC, be it PSCs, okay, especially the SSC CGL and CHSL examination, questions will come directly from all these topics. Okay, so please pay attention, friends. If you please study well and revise it, definitely you can answer these questions. Okay, next, part 17. Part 17 talks about official languages. Okay, part 17 talks about official languages. Okay, official languages means what? Everything I'll tell you when we deal about schedules, because official languages will come again in the schedules as well. Official languages will come again in the schedules as well. So part 17 is official languages. Part 18 is emergency provisions. Emergency provisions, be it national emergency, be it state emergency, be it financial emergency. Okay, that is spoken in emergency provisions. Part 19, miscellaneous. Miscellaneous means which are not included in any of the above parts are included in part 19. That is miscellaneous means something extra. Okay, part 20. I told what do you mean by amendment of the constitution in the beginning itself. So part 20 deals with amendment of the constitution, friends. So part 20 deals with amendment. Part 15 deals with what? Part 15 deals with what? Part 15 deals with elections. Part 20 deals with amendment. Okay. Questions has been asked in SSC MTS also regarding part 20. Part 15 election, that has also been asked. Okay. So next coming to part 21. Temporary transition and special provisions. Temporary means which is not permanent, like the word itself says. Transition means something that is changeable. Changeable provision, that is from some provisions which can be changed from union level to state level or from state level to union level. That is the meaning of transitional provisions. Special provisions means with respect to only certain sections of the society, some certain special provisions can be given, like for women and children, like elderly. Okay, so for differently able people, special provision that is spoken in part 21. Okay, next part 22, short title, commencement, authoritative text in Hindi and repeals. It is talking about the what language that is to be used in the constitution, short title, commencement of the constitution, authoritative text in Hindi and repeals. Repeals means removal of certain things, that is spoken in part 22, friends. Okay, please pay attention to the mnemonics which I teach now to remember from part 17 to what? To remember from part 17 to 22. Okay, trick to remember part 17 to 22. Trick to remember part 17 to 22, friends. So this is a very funny what sentence, but these funny sentence words only you can remember. So one elephant met ant. Okay, one elephant met ant and trampled it suddenly, because an ant can even what? An ant can irritate an elephant by biting it, but elephant may not be able to do something. But when it is on the earth, when it is on the ground, immediately it's trampled. Okay, trampled means stamping on it. Okay, one elephant met ant and trampled it suddenly. Okay, 1 year stands for what? 1 year stands for what? So 1 year stands for the word one. Year O stands for official languages. Elephant E stands for what? Emergency provisions. One elephant met. M stands for miscellaneous. And stands for amendment of the constitution. Okay, remember friends, amendment of the constitution. And trampled it means temporary, transitional and special provisions. Okay, and trampled it suddenly. S stands for short title, commencement, authoritative text in Hindi and repeals. Okay friends, so this is the mnemonics to remember what? Remember parts of the constitution. Okay friends, this is the mnemonics to remember parts of the constitution. So mnemonic to remember part 1 to 10 is you can fly directly from US to UP to meet the child of Sachin. Okay, for parts 11 to 16 the mnemonics is what? What is the mnemonic? Tell me, what is the mnemonic? What is the mnemonic for part 11 to 16? Try friends, write down in the comment section. What is the mnemonic for part 11 to 16? Part 11 to 16, what is the mnemonic? Okay, read from start to end for success. Read from start to end for success. That is the mnemonic for part 11 to 16. Then when it comes to part 17 to 22, one elephant met an ant and trampled it suddenly. That is for part 17 to 22. Okay friends, next we will go to schedules of the Indian Constitution. Okay, sorry, here C should come. Anyways, schedules of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so schedules of the Indian Constitution. So first schedule. Okay, first schedule deals with union and its territory. Same as part 1 of the Indian Constitution. First schedule deals with union and its territory. Like I told, what are the schedule? What does the union mean? What does the territory mean? How many states? How many union territories are there? All these things are contained in first schedule. Okay, friends, that is contained in first schedule. When it comes to second schedule, very important friends, emoluments and allowances. Emoluments and allowances of whom? Of president. Okay, of president, of governor, of Chief Justice of India and judges of High Court and Supreme Court. Okay, of Comptroller and Auditor General. You should learn what is the person. What is the person doing? Comptroller, Auditor General. What are the functions? Everything you will learn. Okay, and also Speaker and Deputy Speaker of what? Lok Sabha and Legislative Assemblies. Okay, Chairman and Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha and also Legislative Councils. All these people's emoluments and affirmations, emoluments and alliances. So, of course, if they are taking emoluments and alliances, they also have to perform their duties. So, before they perform the duties, they have to take oath and affirmations. Whenever you enter some very important government offices, you have to take what? Oath and affirmations. You will see Prime Minister or Chief Minister before entering their office after elections, they will take an oath like this. That is what? So like that, President takes an oath to defend the Constitution. So, who is the defender of the Constitution? If the question comes, what is the answer? It is the President. Okay, the guardian of the Constitution is Supreme Court. Okay, the guardian. Understand one thing. President takes the oath as defender of the Constitution. Okay, and when it comes to Supreme Court, it is the guardian or guarantor of the fundamental rights. Okay, so this is Supreme Court. Defender of the Constitution is President. Understand this, friends. Now, coming to next, allocation of seats to Rajya Sabha. That is fourth schedule. Fourth schedule is talking about allocation of seats to Rajya Sabha. What does it mean? For each state, how many seats should be allocated in the Rajya Sabha? See, Rajya Sabha means, one thing you understand, 1 minute. See, one thing you understand. Excuse me. See, Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. So this is Parliament. Parliament is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and also President is also part of the Parliament but not a member. See, Rajya Sabha is also called Upper House. It is also called Council of States. Why I am explaining this? Please pay attention. See, Lok Sabha, Lower House. It is also called House of People. House of People means they are directly elected by the people. That is, the Lok Sabha election which is going on, we elect them directly. They are going to Lok Sabha. Okay, Lower House. Rajya Sabha, they are indirectly elected by the elected members. That is, elected representatives. They elect the members of the Rajya Sabha. Of course, there are people who are nominated also. That one we learn in detail when we go to Parliament chapter, where we learn about Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha in detail. See, Upper House or Council of States. So, Rajya Sabha will have members from the states. Okay, so for each state, seats are allotted. That is contained in what? That is contained in fourth schedule. That is what I am talking about. So, how many seats are allotted? On what basis? On the basis of population. Suppose UP has higher population. For this, the number of seats allocated in Rajya Sabha is 31. Karnataka compared to, for example, Karnataka compared to it has lower population. Number of seats allocated to Rajya Sabha is 12. Understood, friends? This is the meaning of allocation of seats to Rajya Sabha. Okay. Next, fifth schedule. Administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. Okay. Administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. This is under fifth schedule. Okay. We will learn about in detail when we learn fifth schedule as a separate chapter and sixth schedule as a separate chapter. Okay. How the administration takes place in scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. For that scheduled tribes, what is the power of the governor, what is the power of the president, what is the power of the legislative assembly of those states which are scheduled areas and scheduled tribes, what do you mean by autonomous council. Okay, all these things you will learn about when we study about fifth schedule and sixth schedule, friends. Okay, moving forward, see, I will explain the schedules in detail first, and then I will tell the mnemonics. Mnemonics you will enjoy learning the mnemonics because it will help you retain better. Okay, sixth schedule. Sixth schedule is talking about administration of other tribal areas. Tribal areas other than which is mentioned in fifth schedule. Okay, so other tribal areas. It is talking about other tribal areas. Sixth schedule is talking about other tribal areas. Okay, in the states of, not all the states. They can ask a question, in which of the following states sixth schedule is applicable? Okay, it is Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Understand, Meghalaya and Mizoram, not Manipur. It is not Manipur. Easy to remember, this is AM, TM. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Okay, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. That is the northeastern states. This is the northeastern states. That comes like this. Okay, that is the northeastern states. Okay, this is Assam, Meghalaya. Meghalaya will come here. Tripura will come somewhere here, and Mizoram here. Okay, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Okay, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Remember this AM, TM. Okay, 7th schedule, very important. 7th schedule. Okay, 7th schedule is talking about federal list. Okay, when you're talking about federal list means India as a federation. That is, powers are divided between union and central government. That is, powers are divided between union and central government. That is, there is division of powers. That is vertical division of powers. One is there is separation of powers, that we will learn in a different way. That is in different chapter. That is separation of powers between legislative, executive and judiciary. That is different, friends. This is, I am talking about vertical division. That is separation of power is horizontal division. Okay, this is SOP, this is horizontal. Division of power. Okay, this is vertical. That is from union to states. How it is divided? Okay, how it is divided? 1 minute. How it is divided, friends? We'll learn now. When it comes to federalist, that is, when it comes to federalist, the powers are divided into union list, state list, okay, and concurrent list. Concurrent list. Okay, friends. When it comes to union list, parliament, that is central government, has an exclusive power to make the laws. When it comes to state list, state government has the powers. But sometimes union government will also make the powers in the state list, or the subjects in the state list. That is when there is state emergency. Okay, we will learn about that when we talk about emergency provisions. Concurrent list, both center plus states. Both center plus states can make law. How many subjects? That is, how many subjects center can make laws? Earlier it was 97, now it is made 100. On 100 subjects, that is central government can make laws. And state list, earlier it was 66, it is now reduced to 61. And concurrent list, earlier it was 47, now it is 52. So when it comes to division of powers, from arrange the following list, union list, state list, with respect to such subjects in the descending order. It is union list, state list and concurrent list. Okay, when it is ascending order, it is concurrent list, state list and union list. Don't get confused, friends. After union list, concurrent list doesn't come. Just because both center and state are making a laws, it doesn't mean they are having more subjects. Okay, common subjects are there in concurrent list, that's all. Okay, and union list is having more powers, that is more subjects. State list is having a second, that is 61 subjects, and concurrent list is 52. Suppose state list, that is state government make laws on concurrent list on something which is already law is made by central government, and in that case the central government law will prevail. That is, central government law will have highest priority than state law. Okay, there are other certain exceptions also that we will learn when we talk about center and state relations. Okay, which we learned in the parts. Each part you comment in the section. Relation between center and state, which part? Relation between center and state, which part? Part 11 or part 17, which part? Please do post your answer in the comment section, friends. So what are the subjects that common some subjects which are in the union list? You can talk about army or defense, railways, okay, banking, okay, foreign affairs, okay. When it comes to state list, what are the subjects? State list, what are the subjects? Agriculture, police, okay, these are all in state list. When it comes to concurrent list, education, okay friends, education comes under concurrent list. Now I have a question. When it comes to forest, the subject of forest, it comes under union list, state list and concurrent list. I want you to drop it on the comment section. What is your answer? When it comes to forest come under which list? Please post it in the comment section. Okay friends, moving forward. 8th schedule, I told in parts also there was official languages. So 8th schedule, what does 8th schedule talks about? It talks about official languages. Okay, official languages, there are as of now we have 22 official languages. Earlier there were 14, then it was increased to 18, and then it was increased to 22. At present we have 22 official languages. Okay, 22 official languages we have. At present we have 22 official languages friends. Okay, how we added this official languages from 14 to 18 to 22 through amendments. Okay, which were the recently added official languages? Please write it in the comment section friends. So when it comes to official languages, I have one question: whether English is an official language or not. Whether English is an official language or not, please post in the comment section. Okay, whether English is an official language, whether English comes under 8th schedule, please post it in the comment section. Okay friends, next, when it comes to 9th schedule, see in the original constitution, understand one thing, in the original constitution there were 8 schedules. There are only 8 schedules. Okay, but through amendments we added 4 more schedules. 4 more schedules is, that is 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Okay, now when we come to talk about 9th schedule, it is talking about what? It is talking about land reforms. It is talking about land reforms. Just a minute. Please listen to the class with lot of patience. Please pay attention. Okay, each and every topic that is discussed will be a question in the examination, and it has been a question in the examination. We are not discussing some random things. Okay, so please pay attention. Okay friends, next when it comes to 9th schedule, how it was added, which amendment? It was added through land reforms. See, certain provisions relating to certain acts and regulations, regulations, that is the 9th schedule, that is nothing but land reforms. Land reforms is contained in which schedule? It is contained in 9th schedule. 9th schedule, it was added through which amendment? First constitutional amendment. Okay, first amendment. Okay, it was in 1952. 9th schedule, land reforms. Land reforms, you know that at that time land reforms were made. Okay, that is land to the landless. Okay, land to the landless. So land reforms was included in 9th schedule. It was added through First Amendment Act in 1952. Okay, is there judicial review available for 9th schedule? Those who are learning in depth about the concept will know. So please comment about it. Is judicial review available for 9th schedule? Of course, some people may not be knowing judicial review and all. That we will discuss in future classes. Okay, don't worry. If you are not knowing, don't worry. Okay, friends. Next, when it comes to 10th schedule. 10th schedule. Okay, 10th schedule was added in what? 1985. Through 52nd Amendment Act. 10th schedule talks about defections. That is, it is basically talking about anti-defection. What do you mean by defection? Suppose, okay, suppose example, I am in Congress. Okay, suppose I am in BJP UT. Okay, now Congress party wins in one state. I am in BJP. I won it through BJP. Okay, but BJP has not been able to form government because Congress became the majority. Now we will jump from this to this. Okay, now I will jump from BJP to Congress. So this will disrupt the politics of that state. And some people will start jumping from here to here. So this will create what? Political instability. It will create political instability. So to ensure that people don't keep jumping from one party to another through their whims and wishes. So to stop that, anti-defection law was brought into place. Anti-defection law was brought into place through what? Through 10th Amendment. Okay, sorry, not 10th Amendment, through 10th Schedule and also 52nd Amendment, and in 1985, anti-defection law was brought into picture. That is, people cannot jump from one party to another. There was one famous saying, Aya Ram, Gaya Ram. Okay, that is, there were one politician or two politicians. In the span of some days, he changed party so many times. Okay, that is the meaning of Aya Ram, Gaya Ram. That was the regime. At that time, it was important to bring in a rule or act so that the defections can be stopped. So 10th schedule is talking about anti-defection, that is it is talking about defections. To stop the defections, what it made, anti-defection law was brought. Okay friends, similarly I told only till 8 schedules we had in the commencement of the constitution, that is 26 January 1950. When it comes to remaining 4 schedule was added through amendment, I told 9th schedule through first amendment and 10th schedule through 52nd amendment of 1985. Okay, when it comes to 11th schedule was also added through what? It was also added through 73rd and 74th amendment. 11th schedule through 73rd and 74th amendment. Okay friends, that is through 74th and 74th amendment. This is 73rd and it was 1992. Okay, panchayats were added, that is local self government. Local self government was brought in through 11th and 12th schedule. At the rural areas it was panchayats and at the urban areas it is municipalities. We have spoken about this in what? We have spoken about this in parts also. I wanted to answer, who is the father of local self government in India? Who is the father of local self government in India? This has been asked. Okay, this we will discuss in modern history also. Who is it? It is Lord Ripon. Remember the name, very important. It is Lord Ripon. Local self government, father of local self government in India, Lord Ripon. Okay, when we go to panchayats and municipalities chapter, we will learn about various commissions and committees and who were the head of the committee that put forward the idea of panchayats, that is whether it should be 2-level body or 3-level body. All these things we will learn about panchayats and municipalities. Okay friends, next we will go into last schedule, that is municipalities. 12th schedule, it is talking about municipalities. 12th schedule is talking about municipalities. It is coming through which amendment? It is coming through, that is 73rd panchayat, 74th is municipalities, 1993. Okay friend, it is talking about municipalities. So panchayats, how many subjects it has? Municipalities, how many subjects it has? We are going to learn in detail when we go for panchayats and municipality chapters separately. That is when we study local self government. First we will be learning union government, and then we will be learning state government, and then we will be learning what? Then we will be learning local self government. Similarly, first we will be learning president and vice president. Then also we will be learning what? Then also we will be learning governor. Okay friends. So when I forgot to tell one thing. When I told salary and allowances, so president will receive salary of 5 lakh. Vice president will receive salary of 4 lakh. Okay. Governor will receive salary of 3 lakh. Okay. Chief Justice of India will receive salary of 2.5 or 2.8 lakhs. 2,80,000. Okay. Verify once again, but this is what I know. This is what is correct, I feel. Okay. This can also have a question in the examination. So trick. How do you remember the schedules of the constitution? Friends, there is a very famous trick and very important trick, that is saying tears of old PM. Tears of old PM. What do you mean by tears of old PM? Pay attention enough each letter. See, first schedule, Union and its territory, that is talking about T. That is what we discussed, right? See here, T here stands for territory. E here stands for emoluments and allowances. Understood friends? That is the meaning of tiers of old PM. Remember the mnemonic. A stands for oath and affirmations. A. Okay. R stands for Rajya Sabha. S stands for scheduled areas and tribal. Okay. Scheduled tribes. Administration scheduled areas and okay. Scheduled tribes. O stands for other tribal areas. That is in the state of Assam, Meghalaya. That is what I told. AM, TM. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram, not Manipur. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. Tripura and Mizoram. O stands for, that is other tribal areas. This stands for, F stands for federal list. Okay. F stands for federal list. Federal list. Okay, let me write it down. This T stands for territories. E stands for what? E stands for emoluments. A stands for affirmations. R stands for Rajya Sabha, that is seats to Rajya Sabha. C stands for scheduled areas. O stands for other tribal areas. F stands for federalist, like I told. This O stands for official languages. This L stands for, OL doesn't mean official language. O stands for official languages. L stands for land reforms. That is from 9th schedule. Okay, land reforms. And D stands for what? Defections. That is anti-defection law. That is 10th schedule. P stands for panchayats. M stands for municipalities. Okay, so you remember, friends. So remember the mnemonic. Tiers of old PM. So when it comes to part 1 to 10, you can fly directly from US to UP to meet child of Sachin. Part 11 to 16, what is the mnemonic? Read from start to end for success. Part 17 to 22, what is the mnemonic? What is the mnemonic? Part 17 to 22. What is the mnemonic? Elephant met ant. Something is there, no? Elephant met ant and trampled it suddenly. Okay, one elephant met ant. That is, one elephant met ant and trampled it suddenly. When it comes to schedules, it is tiers of old PM. Okay, friends, I hope it is clear. Okay, I hope it is clear. So let's go through some questions. Going through the questions is very important. So we have to understand. Going through the questions is very important, that so that we will know whether what we are studying is relatable to whatever the questions that is asked, and it will also help us to recollect and revise the topic. Okay, see, please pay attention and stay till the end of the session, because I will discuss most of the topics. I will be discussing the topic itself, but some of the topics, important topics, I will be discussing through questions as well. So don't leave without going through the questions. Okay. And such questions, such very important questions, we are going to discuss in each of our paid classes also. Okay, but that doesn't mean we are not going to discuss in these YouTube sessions. It will definitely be discussed. Okay, due to the paucity of time, we will be able to discuss only few questions. Okay, friends, but they are also very important questions. You have to pay attention and you have to try what? You have to try to answer each of these questions based on the discussion which you just watched. Okay, okay. What is the question? Which of the following states is included in 6th schedule of Indian Constitution? First tell me, 6th schedule talks about what? It talks about other scheduled areas in the state of AM, TM. It talks about Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Okay, this is the state. Nagaland is there? No. Manipur is there? No. Arunachal Pradesh is there? No. So the answer is Mizoram. Understood, friend? This is how you remember. So easy. So Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, not Manipur. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, AM, TM. I am emphasizing again and again. 5th and 6th schedule is very important in any examination, in any competitive examination where humanities subjects like polity is involved. 5th and 6th schedule is very important. Question will definitely be asked. Okay, friends, you can look at the PYQs, you will understand. Okay, next. Which schedule deals with the languages recognized by the Constitution? They are asking it in different way. That is, which schedule deals with official languages? Languages recognized by the Constitution means what? Languages recognized by the Constitution means it is nothing but the official languages. Official languages is which schedule? Which schedule, friends? Official languages. First schedule, second schedule, third schedule, fourth schedule. Which is the answer? Which is the answer? First schedule talks about union and territories. Second schedule talks about what? What? Another option I will give here. Second schedule talks about emoluments and allowances. Third schedule talks about oath and affirmation. Fourth schedule talks about seats to Rajya Sabha. So none of this. The answer is none of this. Okay. Why? Because official languages are spoken in 8th schedule. 7th schedule federal list. 8th schedule is official languages. 8th schedule. Remember, friends. Okay. Next question. Okay. Which schedule contains, please pay attention. Which schedule contains provisions related to administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes? It is not talking about tribal areas in other tribal areas in states of AM, TM. It is talking about scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. When scheduled areas comes, automatically the answer should be 5th schedule. 6th schedule other tribal areas. 7th schedule is federal list. 8th schedule is official languages. That is the previous question which we dealt. Okay friends. So when it comes to 5th schedule, it is talking about scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. Okay friends. Coming to next question. Which schedule deals with the allocation of seats in the Rajya Sabha? This is very easy. We have discussed this many times in the discussion. Okay, I told it is dealt in which schedule? Which schedule? Let the option be none also. Okay, like this question only, through the questions only we have to what? Revise. So here 8th schedule it talks about official languages. 9th schedule land reforms. 10th schedule defection and this anti-defection. 11th schedule is talking about what? 11th schedule is talking about panchayats. So the answer is none, because Council of States, that is spoken by what? Spoken by, it is 4th schedule. What? 4th schedule. Okay, 4th schedule talks about Council of States. Coming to the next question. Which schedule contains the anti-defection provision, that is for the members of parliament and state legislature? Okay, when we study about the anti-defection law, we will understand to whom it is applicable, what are the rules for defection, okay, what does the anti-defection law provisions contain, okay, when you can change a party, when it is not a defection, when it is a defection, everything we will learn when we study about anti-defection law. Okay, so you know that 12th schedule deals with municipalities. 13th schedule there is no 13th schedule only. 14th schedule there is no 14th schedule only we have 12 schedules. So the answer is automatically 10th schedule. Okay, 10th schedule talks about anti-defection law, that is defections. Okay, okay friends, I hope it is clear. 10th schedule, see through the questions only we are able to revise a lot of things. The 9th schedule of the Indian Constitution was introduced during the Prime Ministership of, see this is a very tricky question, very analytical question. Okay, 9th schedule was introduced in when? Introduced when 9th schedule? 9th schedule was introduced to, it is not writing, wait, 9th schedule was introduced through first amendment. Okay, 9th schedule was introduced through first amendment. That was when? In 1952. Okay, it was in 1952. So, who was our first Prime Minister? Who was our first Prime Minister? That is, the general elections and all took place in 1951-1952. At that time, who became the Prime Minister? The first Prime Minister was Jawaharlal Nehru. At that time, only first amendment was made. So the answer is what? So the answer is 1952. Second is this person. Then later, these people became Prime Ministers. Indira Gandhi and Morarji Desai. Before that, it was Jawaharlal Nehru. So the answer is Prime Minister. So this is a tricky question, but it is very easy also. 9th schedule when it was 1952. At that time, who was the Prime Minister? It was Jawaharlal Nehru. You saw the questions can be twisted. But if you focus on the basics, if you focus on each word in the question, you will be able to answer the question. That's why you have to focus on the question. You should have patience to read the question properly 1 or 2 times. Okay, then only you will be able to answer. Don't be in a hurry. Okay, of course time limit is there when it comes to answering the questions in tier 1 or in tier 2 also. But if you have to read the questions correctly. It doesn't mean that you read the questions with less focus or without any focus. If you read the questions correctly with proper focus, you will have the clarity of the concepts and you will be able to answer the questions correctly. Okay friends, that's all for today. We will meet in the tomorrow session. Okay, where we will talk about the sources of the Constitution. What is the sources of the Constitution? What are the various sources from which we borrowed various features of the Constitution? That will be discussed in tomorrow's session. And again I am reiterating, see that our paid course is going to start from June 1st, where we will be put through a rigorous plan, where we will be prepared very well for the examination to crack the SSC CGL and CHSL examination. Okay friends, thank you for attending the session. Take care. Bye.